I think it was like 500 or 600 scripts we got that year. And then the next slide was like how many movies we made.
How often do you receive screenplays?
Probably during this interview, I received maybe 5 or 6.
Oh, okay, while you're sitting here.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm probably getting one right now in my email, or once somebody actually tweeted me like line after line, like it comes from every direction. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
You know how many of them I read?
Well, that was my next
0.
question. Yeah.
I read 0 of them.
You read 0. So do you have a no screenplay policy?
It's, first of all, you don't expect unsolicited material. And there is a legal reason for that. Sometimes you have people, this is the funny part, that people like, oh, I have a great script, but you need to sign an NDA to read it. And it's like, no, you don't understand. You need to sign my NDA, because ideas are in the zeitgeist, and people think it's my original idea, because people confuse the word original, because it's original, it's not based on something, right? It came in their head. It doesn't mean it's original, like nobody had that thought before, right? So, what you don't want to do is to have somebody send you a script on a project that you're already working on, or already discussed, or already made, and then you're like, well, I send you and it's very similar, and you get sued. So when you submit films to like studios or stuff like this, usually you have to sign an NDA, because especially if it's we have an RFP list. So if like we request like, oh, we're looking for a dog movie or whatever it is, of course you're going to get 20 ideas of a dog movie, 10 of them are going to be similar. You can't, you kind of need to have a system of controlling that, because then you're just opening yourself for liability. So what I would suggest to writers is, first of all, don't ask people to sign an NDA to read your script. But, might be smart to actually ask them like, hey, do you have an NDA that I need to sign? Or like, what is the process of submitting your script? Because usually we're just not going to accept it at all unsolicited.
Right, yeah, I think that's better, and also maybe that would open up the conversation versus if you just send somebody something blindly, they're just like, I don't want to deal with the person.
Correct. You also don't want, but people don't understand that reading script is a job, right? Like, we actually need to pay to somebody to cover it. I mean, for me, it's like English is my second language. If I read a script, I need to print it, and I actually see there is a pen, and it's a good, 4 hours work. Would you call your lawyer or your doctor or your accountant and ask for 4 hours work for free, And also, by the way, in a pace of like, once every 2 months, and also like, here is a new version of it. No, you're not going to do that, right? But also, there is kind of a misunderstanding, I think. It's like people think that like Hollywood is sitting there waiting for ideas, we're not, everybody has a script. Like, you don't need a script, What you need is, the grit, tenacity, money, connection, all these other things that actually make a project, right? So I did a panel, I think it was 2015, in South by Southwest, called How Not to Sell Your Script. And in preparation for that, I actually did look how many scripts we're getting. And we did categorize them, if they're from managers, from agents, unsolicited, how many of them from friends and family, people worked with before. And I had a whole like slide that had like dots with different colors. And I believe, I can't remember, I can find that PowerPoint, but I think it was like 500 or 600 scripts we got that year. And then the next slide was like, how many movies we made, that year. It was 5, right? And then I was like, let's see where those 5 came from, right? And if I remember correctly, it was like 3 that we commissioned, 1 from CIA, and 1 from a co-production market, right? So like 0 of them is just kind of stuff that comes in. And the reason is first of all, when you're in the financing and distribution business, you kind of know the numbers, right, in your relationship, and like, we really work hard to have the lunches and the dinners and the drinks, and like know what Tubi is looking for, what Netflix is looking for, what they're going to look for next year, what works. We look at numbers and all that. So when we want to do a project, it really starts with the need in the marketplace. And if we need to read now 1,000 scripts to see what fits in it, or you can just hire a writer, or talk with a filmmaker you already work with and say, hey, that's what we're looking for. We made a zombie horror movie. We want now this horror movie. You know, it just makes the process a lot easier, and you don't need to deal with all the legalities and, you know, another outside factor that's a part of it. So the bar for somebody just reading your script, like, it needs to be that good to actually pass all those other barriers for you to actually finance it, right? Like a fit, and like, oh, the writer wants to direct it, and, you know, he has a friend that's gonna be the actor or whatever. So that's one. And the cost of reading them and going through them, it's just enormous. You know, as a company, you need to pay for people to read it, right? I always say it's better to pitch a one-pager, or even better, like a paragraph, than to send a script, because, you know, I can probably tell you by a paragraph if it's something that we even remotely, you know, we'd be interested in, you know, because, you know, oh, you know, we have this, you know, drama, oh, we're not financing dramas, period. You know, it's like, there you go, you're done. So yeah, so we get a lot of scripts, to answer your question.
I saw someone on social media post, I have several scripts and I'm looking for a producer that has backing to make them.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a common thing that people screenwrite?
I don't know what to say about that. That's like, you know, I mean, everybody's looking for money. Like, oh, I have a script. Great, I have an idea. I actually blame Final Draft, and I tell you why. Final Draft made it that anybody can make a 90-page script-looking file, right? Between that and actually a screenplay that has the pacing, the characters, the, you know, the structure and all that, you know, night and day. But you can sit over, you know, one weekend and with Final Draft, you know, make a script-looking document, right? I think that if people still had to like type, you know, exterior, forest, night, you know, John, like if they actually had to type all those things, we would see maybe 10% of the scripts we have now, right? And now when you're gonna add AI and ChatGPT and all of those, it's making it even worse, right? I mean, it like, can literally give it an idea and it will just write the script for you, you know? So I think the scripts are extremely important when you pass the stage of we're making this project, but, you know, we're just gonna see more and more scripts and more pitches coming in. You know, I can't imagine even like if an indie producer like us, you know, we get so many, imagine how an Amazon or a Netflix or an Apple TV executive, you know, imagine their inbox, right?
Well, is that like blaming GarageBand for so much bad music?
I'm not from that world, but it sounds like it,
Okay.
yeah. You know, so yeah, I blame Final Draft, yeah, I think so. You know, there was, I forgot who wrote it. There was like one writer that wrote an article. He got kind of, you know, bit of hate. The one, how it's called, I'm not gonna read your F script.
Oh, right,
yeah. It was published on Variety or something. I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, there's some truth to it. You're asking for a lot of someone's time. If you're in a writing group, I get it, but yeah.
And also, I find that people ask for feedback, but they really just want praise. And I had a discussion just recently with my wife, because my brother-in-law is like, oh, my friend want to make this movie, like, do you mind talking to him? And I'm like, look, I've been doing this for, like, I've been having this a million times. Like, so I'm going to look, they shot a proof of concept, right? It's going to look at this, I'm going to tell him all the things are wrong with it and why it's in the wrong place and why you should not do it. And it's going to go out and do it anyway. So it's like, what is the point? You know, it's like, you know, if you want to be a working producer, working director, working writer, there are paths to do that, right? But I just find like you can kind of see, you know, at some point like those flags of like who's actually asking for feedback and who just wants your money, you know, and just wants your praises, you know, and not really want to be a part of this industry, right? Because it is an industry. If you want your movie on Netflix, you need to know what Netflix wants, what works for Netflix, how to get them a project, you know, what is the budget, how to make it happen. You know, not like, I want this on Netflix. You know, many people come to me, it's like, well, you know, you sold Netflix, you know, I probably sold them hundreds of movies in the past. We don't even want money. I just want my project, you know, it will just help my career, you know, we can just give it to them for free. It's like, do do you think they want your movie for free? Like how many times a day do you think somebody proposed them their movie for free? You know, it's like you do understand that there are costs of taking a film, and they also their brand. There's like a million, like, you know, I don't know. There's sometimes like I feel like sometimes there is no attempt of trying to understand who's on the other side and what they're looking for and what their day looks like and what their economics is. And on one hand, it sounds like, well, it's like, you know, so you just tell people not to do it. It's like, no, it's actually very empowering. Like, if you do understand what I'm looking at and you know, like, what can make my life easier, it actually makes it a lot easier for you to come into the door and get financing, you know, because we financing movies left and right, you know, just finishing this Chuck Norris Vanilla Ice movie, you know, I just got this morning rough cut for this, you know, micro budget movie shot in the UK. We have a comedy, a buddy cop comedy we financed that just now we're going out with it to streamers. It's like we're financing micro budget and bigger budget films all the time. But they all have different stories how to get there, and if you understand how they were made, maybe you can kind of like get yourself there, you know?
Right. Well, maybe for a newbie, though, they do want praise. Just like you said in the beginning, you go to the first sales rep and they're going to say, you know what? I think all we can do is maybe 60,000 for this thing.
Yeah,
and then they go, oh, no. Let me go to another person. Oh, yeah, you're going to have parties. But it's a hazing. It's part of becoming seasoned and maybe a realist in the industry. So then they don't realize that when you are giving them feedback, you're not trying to harm them. You're actually letting them know this isn't going to work.
Look, I like architecture. It's a lot like, you know, somebody would post on Facebook and go like, hey guys, I'm really looking for somebody to give me an architectural job. Now, I'm not an engineer and I didn't go to architectural school, but I've been in a lot of homes and I've seen a lot of houses, and I think I can do better than all those other idiots building houses. So I drew a house. You know, it doesn't have any windows or doors or whatever, but here's the house and just running around trying to sell it, you know? And it's like, but it doesn't work like that. You know, it's like, there's actually a lot of both technical knowledge and talent that goes into those things. And I used to be a program director for this family film festival, and still, like, you know, I you know, we're sometimes, you know, between jury or being a committee of film festivals for like, and you see a lot of stuff that it's like, guys, there is a minimum technical, you know, ability of making those things. Just because you watched a lot of movies doesn't mean you can make one. And I think there is a lot of blindness to that. And a lot of people, and the worst, they, you know, sometimes people do screenings to their friends and family and then get praise, and then they try to use that as a selling point. I'm like, guys, opinion doesn't count unless you're actually asking somebody for money, you know, or their time or their resources. And then you start getting real opinion, you know? And I think that it's a part of the problem that there is a lot of people trying to get into the business and they're kind of blind to it. But then there's a lot of people that see it as an opportunity to exploit those people. And, you know, part of like, what's the easiest way you make money in the movie business is sell services to people that want to get into the movie business, right? And one example of it is we get, you know, scripts that have winner of this workshop and winner of this script film festival and winner, and like you read 3 pages and it's unreadable, full of grammar mistakes. It's like clearly nobody ever read it, but you know, they're paying in Film Freeway $50 to submit it, and they're just gonna give, oh, you're the runner-up, whatever. I don't think anybody's reading those things. It's just a scam to collect submission fees, you know. And I think that I don't know what the solution for that, but I think people kind of need to maybe apply more logic and maybe see more interviews with executives, you know, or whatever. And you know, even my advice, like I have only my point of view, you know. It's like I've seen only my life, you know, of working in the industry, and there are people with different paths. But I always tell writers, if you want to be a good writer, first of all, don't sit in a Starbucks and write a script. You know, go out there and get life experience and come up with ideas and pitch those ideas, just the one-liners, as opposed to, writing a script takes so long. You can sit for like 3 years writing a script and then go and like, yeah, there's no need for it in the market, right? So I would say, and that's mainly for people that are working filmmakers, but I say, just send me a page with like 10 ideas, 10 one-liners. And I'll tell you like, oh, I like 1, 5, and 6. And then write a paragraph of those 3. And it's like, okay, let's work on, number 2. But at that point, I can actually pay you to work on number 2. I can say like, you know what? How about I pay you $1,000 and let's write a 5-page, beat sheet, right? And then like slowly develop it with the person that's actually going to be the end user of that script, as opposed to spending 3 years at Starbucks and then sending it, spamming everybody's email with it,
Right, and one thing though, in fairness to some of these people, is if they don't live in LA, even they could live in other parts of California, when you're not connected to the industry like that, you need to find some way in.
Right.
So maybe a contest is a foot in the door. I don't know. I've never entered one. But anyway,
I would say there is conferences, there is film festivals. You have to, I hear you. You're in a different place, but everybody's remote these days. Like I still travel to things. Right. You have to make FaceTime and you have to build relationships.
Right.
You just have to. It's like any business. It's a relationship business, and you cannot build a relationship with just spamming people online.
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.